I hope not.
Oh well, let's roll it. Okay.
Let's do it.
We're clicking that start stream button like that,
Click it.
and roll that intro. Are we on? Come on, kick in. Yes, we are. Here we go. Now, good morning on this cold morning here in New Zealand, or good now to you. I've got 9 degrees centigrade. Don't ask me to change it to Fahrenheit. Ask Siri or some other voice expert. This is Office. Hang on. No. It is
No,
365 Message Center. And we'll just stop there. It's not the
the
week that was, it just happened.
no, it's the 365 Message Center show. That's how you the 365 Message
I'm going to get you
Center.
to the intros now, man.
I don't know. I was having a little trouble there. So
How are you, Dan?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Today I am wearing the first ever SharePoint Saturday Nashville speaker shirt. Back way back 5 years ago. So I'm going retro today.
SPS Pride?
Yeah,
Yeah,
SharePoint Saturday
awesome.
Pride.
That's cool.
Yeah, so things are going well. It is a wonderful 82 degrees here in Nashville, Tennessee. Feels like 87, humidity kind of high. It's kind of gross. So I'm glad I'm inside. But we have quite a few things to talk about today.
Well, I'm just
So
thinking that we should keep rolling, but before we do that, it feels like we need a weather tab in Teams. I know we've got the weather web part back and it's been remodeled, but I need the
right.
weather tab to see what the weather is in Nashville.
You could do that easily. You just add the URL, right? Add a web page.
Right, yeah, the web page. Okay, we might just do that, but
Yeah,
we'll cut to our plethora of messages, and there we
got
go.
a few.
We do have. Oh, that's not the messages, Daryl. Come on now. Very
Come on,
good.
Daryl.
Yeah,
I
let's
see it.
blow this up to. You do. I'm just going to
See it
give
on the
this
screen.
just a little more percentage up there to 150, so our viewers aren't squinting. And who's joining us in the chat room today? Oh yeah, we've got a few. Sarah's here, Phil's here, Matthew's here. Awesome. Hello everyone.
Yeah, and
Messages,
Matt even
messages, messages.
did the conversion for you. It's 48 degrees Fahrenheit, he says, 9
Oh
degrees
wow.
Celsius, which is not that cold. So,
I
um,
know.
anyway,
Yeah, people up in
anyway, let's
Minnesota and
anyway, let's go
and
to the
they take
messages.
their socks off the washing line and they can snap them in half. I know. Um, first message. We have a secure external sharing experience for
Yep.
files and folders has changed.
Yeah. So let's talk about this.
Okay.
When you go to share externally, um, out of OneDrive and SharePoint, there are two really methods to do that, right, Daryl? There's
Yes.
one where you um, do an anonymous link, right? And then there's the other where you can share via email, right? To say, I want to send this person an email, right?
And this person is outside the company, so you're sending it
Right.
to their email address.
Right.
And historically, we had to. Well, that person may have to sign up for a Microsoft account, but we don't have to do that anymore. What happens?
Right. So this announcement is talking about how um, if they have a 365 account, it's just going to ask them to log in and to their 365 account, and then that will then create add an account to your tenant as a guest account to your tenant tied to that email address, um, and that's how they're going to get access. So that's great. Using existing accounts, so we're not creating a lot of different accounts and having to, Susie has, an Office 365 account, but she also has this, maybe their personal Outlook account that she used, to gain access to your stuff. So, I mean, I think it's a good change. One thing I will say is that this is a change that is now, end of June change. And so this announcement is a little bit late, and they acknowledge that in the announcement. But so anyway,
I think the gain for this is that where for a moment or for a few months we switched to sending an invite and people could just enter in this verification code that got emailed to them and tried to access it. For a while there, we couldn't see who was accessing it, and the sorts of changes that people might make weren't as clear. But when you're logging into your 365 account that may be attached to that external email address, then it's very clear that I'm sharing something with Dan and his tenant, and he's signing in and making his changes, and we can track all that.
Right. It's a good thing. Yep.
Yeah. I enjoyed showing the other feature we talked about, that external sharing with just give me a verification code, and proudly said, and you don't have to have your recipients sign up for a Microsoft account if they don't have one. We just get right in. So I still think it's a great thing.
I do too, and
passwords.
Have it set, I think, the 3 days. But so anyway.
Good-o. What have we got here now? Branding of that sharing email. So we're still
emails where it says, "Hey, click this link, and you're going to help some guy, some prince, with his millions of dollars or whatever." Right? It's different than other, sharing emails or whatever. So I like this change. I tell the story when I do my workflow sessions that I got into SharePoint workflow. And way back in the day, and I won't tell you how many years ago, but I got into SharePoint workflow for the first time because someone said, "This email from SharePoint is ugly. I want it changed." And so I busted out SharePoint Designer and created a workflow. Instead of an alert email, I gave them a alert through a workflow and branded their email for them. And that's how I got started a long time ago. So I love being able to brand those emails. So this gets a thumbs up for me. I
know what you're saying about the security aspect. When we're using the generic branding, it becomes easier for the Nigerian prince or the person who has millions of dollars to access to fake it and say, "Please sign in here. I've shared this document with you," and that's all you need to do is sign this release form.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
With your bank account and your social security number.
With your bank account details. But by having that branding there, it definitely changes it up. And it's the same argument for branding your login page, isn't it? So if you have at least have a background change or something like that, that you're signing into something that the faker, the imposter, would have to work a little harder to fake it. And I think another good reason for changing up that background occasionally. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think last thing I want to mention about this is that I again do not agree with what do I need to do to prepare for this change comment because it says you don't need to do anything. Well, that's incorrect. Obviously, you need to take this in consideration and whether you want to enable it in your organization. And this is one of those things that I think probably deserves a conversation. It's not just a one person making a decision. So I prepare for this change. I think you just need to add it to your monthly, you're having monthly meetings about Office 365 changes, right?
Of course. You're attending those team meetings and telling people what's changing.
That's right. So for everyone that watches this show, of course, that's what they're doing. So this is something to add to the agenda.
Yeah. Actually, in keeping with that security theme too, if you're training up your end users and your people to be more security conscious and aware, then you can tell them this is the purpose for it. So you are going to see something. If you ever receive something that is inviting you to open up a document and it doesn't have our branding, then it's not legit. Yeah?
You don't know it is legit, right?
Well, right.
But it's not legit.
Now you're starting to sound like Pinocchio from Shrek. I don't know where it is and not, Anyway.
Okay, now you're going to get us copyrighted infringing on
Look,
YouTube.
The impression was not that good. Come on now.
I agree.
Too shocking.
Next.
Okay, I'll take this one. in keeping
Yes.
with impressions. It feels like we're on a real
Yeah.
flow here. This announcement is also about trying to reduce the likelihood of spam and people impersonating your email. We do have different frameworks, like the sender policy framework, which you can, let's say we're using MailChimp, for example, we can add this to a DNS record, and it gives, you're giving permission to MailChimp to send email on your behalf. It's going to come from a SMTP server that is not Office 365. Now, a good thing about that is that they can, bulk send and do things that, it depends on the volume of email that you send, but you might be busting your limits there. This new way of authenticating, what is it called? The sender rewriting scheme, also allows the sending party to rewrite the header to make it look like it's coming from your domain,
Right.
and do that without transgressing anything or making a spam filter say, "Oh, I can see you've changed it there. I'm going to block you." So yet another level. Probably not much more I can say about it. Do you want to dive into any of the Exchange pieces or not? That's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of use cases where you're going to want to, use your domain with services. Mailchimp is probably a great example of that. And I think it is always the case where you can run afoul with spam filters, and you're using those services so that people get your emails, not so that it gets caught in spam. So, any way we can do that on an administrative perspective to say, yes, this is valid and get everything right is a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. We have... actually, as I'm switching back to these messages, it's one thing I'd like to see. I go to that message and it still keeps that position in the scrolling. I'd like to go next message and it goes back to the top. We'll put our order in.
Okay.
And
when are we going to have the new crew for the message center on the show?
Oh,
when are we going to do that?
I tried to organize that. Remember, I sent out that meeting poll thing. But I didn't attach it to the email, so I should try again. Sorry, Mike Ziok and team.
Yeah, I sorry for everybody that's watching. What I meant was the Microsoft team that manages the 365 message center. We've been trying to get them, and it's not their fault. It's our fault. Just trying to schedule them and get them on the show. So that's what I was asking. Sorry.
Well, we're also hoping that the session we submitted for Ignite, we might even be able to get them on a extended edition live podcast center streaming from Ignite. Here's hoping, and we should know soon. What's this message about? We did have some messages recently about new auditing superpowers for the Exchange mailbox, and this is a couple of additional filters, so that you can go in and that's rain, by the way. It's not the crowd.
It is.
Going, the
crowd's loving this one.
Yeah, that's right. They love Exchange. To be able to detect when there are changes in someone's inbox rules, or whether the calendar delegation has been updated, and that can ping an alert over to those who are interested. The one we talked about last time, which I saw in action in a current project, was if I forward my email to outside the company, rather than keeping it on that email address they've provided to me, it will also send through an alert. So this is just an additional thing. Have you created an inbox rule that does anything else, which is a bit funny? Have you delegated your calendar to someone that you probably shouldn't outside of the company?
Right.
All right.
And we talked a little bit about that last week, but...
Well, there are some practical uses to it.
That's right.
And so as long as you're, telling the right people that you're doing that, or maybe they still have some strict rules around it and say, no, you still need to add yet another mailbox to Outlook so that you can manage your email.
Yep.
All right. Take this one, Dan. This is a good one. SharePoint Online Storage.
So, and we love SharePoint Online Storage, right? In fact, I just had this conversation with a client of mine last week about the changes that are upcoming for SharePoint Online storage. What we've had in the past is we've had we've had 1 terabyte for your whole tenant, and then a 500 megs, so a half a gig per user, right?
Do you like the way it was written here in this message?
Yes.
So it makes it look like it's 5 gig
0.5.
because it's 0.5 gig. Note the point.
Yes. What they're changing is changing that 1 terabyte. No, they're keeping the you're going up from the 0.5 gigabytes to 10 gigabytes. So it's 20 times the storage per user, which is huge. And what the client I was talking to yesterday, I won't say what kind of client they are, but they have very large files that come from a certain type of software that have lots of lines and stuff in it. Anyway, and so they have these large files, and they're a little worried about people storing their information and how much it is. So this is going to be a huge thing. This one thing, it does not impact the kiosk plans, so the F1 and plans as well. So it does not affect those at all. You don't get that additional storage.
Yeah. The comment I would pass on this is great. We are getting, the base storage doesn't change. The per user or per seat storage does. It increases by 20. But you know what? You're going to need it. Because there are a few other things that are being activated that are going to contribute to the use of that pooled storage. And one thing that I see taking off is Microsoft Stream. So it feels like the two aren't related, but they are. That pooled storage that you have for Microsoft Stream, rather SharePoint, is also used by Microsoft Stream in your videos. So let's say you get into the habit of clicking record on Microsoft Teams meetings, as we are beginning to do now. That's going to be pushed off to the cloud, and it's going to be recorded in Stream, and then that's going to take from your pooled storage, which you have had an increase on, but you'll find that I think if you get into habits like that, like Microsoft Stream, you're going to use that allocated storage. So look, the other thing, Dan, how much is storage? Is it really super expensive in your mind?
No, it's not. And even in the past, when you're only getting 500 megs per user, you still were able to add on storage, and it was super cheap. I mean, it was not expensive at all, really. So that's them adding this as a wholesale. Now that's a lot of storage for a lot of organizations, especially big organizations. You're going to have a lot of storage, but it's not really that expensive. And I don't have the numbers, but I would say they probably saw that people are just not even using. They have excess storage, and let's fill it up. So anyway.
Yeah. No, don't get me started on Stream. I think Stream's a pretty awesome service. Yeah, actually, something that wasn't in the message center. I know we're bringing this in a bit early. We saw something change in Microsoft Teams in the browser experience. We have a waffle menu now. So good to see that you can push that, and I can see the applications that are available in my app launcher. What do you think, Dan?
Yep, it's good.
Yeah.
I just want it consistent.
I'd like it in Stream.
Stream, there's others that don't have it as well. So Stream is one of those. Stream is a very powerful service, and storage obviously is going to be a big deal for, just like you're mentioning, recording those meetings and all that. I think Stream's awesome. But especially if you pay for the extra level of Stream, which is unfortunate that you have to do that to get the really awesome stuff. But it's cool. Anyway,
Our last message in the list before we go into talking about other things we've noticed and talked about
yep.
is, and I haven't looked too much into this, but you can centralize the Outlook add-ins that you want to deploy to people. So at the moment it's user driven, that if I wanted to add in the find time Outlook add-in or something else that is going to help me in my personal productivity, then it's my choice. Right. But this will allow us to push that out to the organization if we want to standardize on using that experience, rather than giving someone a 5-step instruction sheet and saying, do it. Have you done it? You need to do it.
Do it now. Do it now.
I haven't ticked you off on my list.
That's right. I think this is good to be able to, and we're going to, it's actually, it relates to this whole concept of I want to have resources that I want to kind of publish to my organization. And so I'm going to be debuting a presentation. Well, I'm actually the second chair. First chair is our wonderful fellow Regarding 365 member, and also in the audience today, Sarah Hazy is we're going to be doing a session, and it's going to be talking about how we can take Flow templates and publish those to the organization, because you can't do that either out of the box. So we're going to be doing a presentation in New York City talking about that. So this is kind of similar in that you can be able to publish those apps for your organization, saying these are the ones we think we've looked at, we kind of approve and think could improve your productivity and the way we want to move forward as an organization. Because I think Microsoft, bless their heart, they give us all these tools and they say use them all. And there's no way any organization of any size can start using all 27 tools and use them effectively. Use Outlook because it's email. We're going to use SharePoint for storage. This new Teams thing, it's good for us to be able to, in every service, be able to release functionality or highlight functionality or tools that we say, hey, everybody, these are great places to start for you to adopt this technology we think is going to be great for our organization.
Yeah, definitely. For Flow, being able to serve something up in any sort of central control is great. I think we should explore that impression though, or drive that you actually said it. You feel like Microsoft is saying, here's all these tools, use them all. I know it'll probably be another talk, might even end up being a session sometime, but that thought that, do we really have to use them all? I think the message is try them all. And I'm hearing this now as Microsoft presents some of the stuff about 365. It's, here are these apps, and it's like going to the App Store on your mobile and saying, here you go, try this out. That similarly, there are apps or things within Office Microsoft 365, and some of them do overlap. But try them, try something, and try and see what works for you, for your personal productivity, and for the productivity of your team and your organization. Just try it. Yep. Yeah.
Agreed.
Now, two things that we've noticed that were not in the message center, but did kind of appear. One thing I will say, it's in Teams, and let's just take a look at the. What do we got here? We'll keep Dan on screen and we'll have a look at it this way. Little old icon, and I wish I had like a zoom function here to do this within OBS. But you may be seeing, we know what the cog is, we know what the invite button is, and showing participants. So there we go, we've got that. We've also got our chat, great. And you'll see that appear briefly. Oh, what is this? Right beside chat is meeting notes. And when I saw that appear, I thought, oh, it says meeting notes and it says new. Did I Did I put a tab there which connects to an Outlook, a OneNote notebook, and just call it Meeting Notes? I probably did. I don't need to check that. So I didn't click on it. But then I saw it this morning. I thought, that's an icon. That says Meeting Notes. What is that? And it feels like it is the Wiki reborn. Do you like the Wiki, Dan? Do you leave it as a tab that you use within Teams?
Okay, don't hurt me and don't kill me, people, but Wiki is the first thing I delete out of my channel.
Uh-huh.
I remove the tab. I get rid of it.
And like when we explored it early on, this was back when Teams G8, and they shifted OneNote off as a default tab. They dropped in Wiki to awake people's ideas about what Wiki could be. Let's expand back on that. We'll view it as the Notes tab. You see that I've created a few notes. There's a section for each thing. You add a note there. You've got various different formatting buttons that there's some there that we can't see while we're in this chat mode. But if we go to that full view tab, and I know that you can't see this, Dan, but the audience can, we go back into very much a wiki. And wiki is backed by a SharePoint list, as we have discovered. It's here we go. It's a meeting in the general tab. I think that the tab was created when I created this meeting, so it may not just appear for you until you create a meeting.
Right.
But you've got your sections, and if we go into editing a note, in our chat based within the meeting, we can see everything right up until the bullet point and the number, but we can't see insert a link or a quote, changing any paragraphing styles, inserting a picture, or what is that? Insert a table. So what I think the advantage of a note or meeting notes using the wiki infrastructure, I don't know what you call it, is that you can copy a link to the note itself and discuss it. But isn't there something we can do in OneNote as well?
Right. Yes. In OneNote, we can create a link to a page and share that link to the page. So, my question here is, how is this wiki different than having a OneNote, which we do with the channel, with the teams, right? And we get the tab with the channel, and we're creating pages. And so, how is this different? Functionality-wise. I know it's different, but functionality-wise, what do we get with the wiki that we don't get with OneNote?
Well, I've copied a note to a note. Sorry, copied a link to a note. Let's hit enter on that. It's a link. It's a very ugly link if you hover over it. Wow, it's very long, but it's okay. We don't really see it. We can definitely see that it is a wiki. So you can see teamspace.tab.wiki, etc. And I think if we click on that, it's just going to take us to the note. I thought the early version of the wiki allowed you to have a discussion alongside the note. I need to explore this a bit more. Anyway, so that was one thing we noticed. The other thing, let's cut to our shared desktop. And I know we're just about at time, so we've got our message center. And I think this was in the dismissed announcements earlier. But if we go over to our Office Home, so we've seen this for a while, but I noticed this a week or two back when I click into any of these online applications, Word Online, I get to, it feels like a home page for Word. So any documents that I've written that are in Word, I've got templates along the top, and I've got my recent pin shared with me in Discover specifically for Word. Well, what happened last week when we received some updates was we got that same layout within the application, including this huge, here's my home button, here's my new button, here's my open, right? But the main thing is this home button here. Did we see that in the message center? I feel like we did.
I think we did because it's a change for Office, and so I've had this for a little while in the preview because I'm in the Office Insider. I am an Office Insider, so I had this in the Office app application, desktop app. So I think it's cool. It's definitely a redesign, but it's not. I don't. There's not a lot of functionality difference here. I think it's putting more emphasis on your recents because what was the? It was something like 80-something% of when users open up Office. No, I think it was when they're going into. Yeah, I think it was Office when they're going in and opening an Office application. 80-something% of the time, they're going to the document they were working on just before. Or so it's so it's good to have recent and have that available because you can just quickly get started again. Now, also, 84% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So that is, take that with,
I thought it was 85. I think you misquoted that one. Hey,
oh my God!
As I'm clicking around this, I know that they've split it out and they now show recent on its own page. The impression I felt like when we've had this view for some time, where you open up a new document, you've got templates going boom, and then in a slightly fatter band along the left-hand side, you had a list of your recent documents, some of them that were pinned, but there wasn't any information or metadata about those documents. Now in the home, you do have that the title of the document, where it is, the date that it was modified.
I would love to see some way to show some metadata for documents that are linked to SharePoint. So on this, be able to say,
great.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it, but because the columns may be all different names or whatever, but it could say column name for the first document of company or client or something, and then colon, and then whatever the tag is or something. I just I don't know how they would do that because there could be multiple columns. I don't know, but it would be really cool to have that in this listing as well, so you could get to that. I don't know.
Well, look, I mean, I know we should be closing out. We're kind of over time, but that SharePoint info, in which you can go into a document now and open up your information panel, the information is already there for the document. So just expose one of those columns and make it the site administrator's choice to expose a certain column. Anyways, those were some changes we did going over time. We will like to say a quick hello again to everyone in the live chat. Thank you, Tony, Matthew.
Ooh, what
Phil,
a great idea,
Sarah.
Phil.
What did Phil say?
Preview hover with the metadata. So if you hover over it, preview it with metadata. At least that's what I'm gathering. Is that what he's getting at? Is like hover over the document and then it maybe give you a preview of the document of the first page, and then because anyway, I like it.
Yeah, that's right. The mind starts to flow as people start to come up with ideas. There's all sorts of things we can do. Thanks everyone for joining us. And that was the 365 Message Center. The 365 Message Center.
Good job, Daryl.
Next week. Yeah. And I don't know if we've got anything else on at the moment. I'm trying to organise a webinar with some of our kind of English European area. So hoping to get Simon Denton and there was a couple of others there from that area too, because we tend to favour US, Australia, South Africa. Let's try and check in with our peeps over there. Yeah. So see you again next week. Thanks everyone for joining us. Catch you later.
Bye-bye.